The first time I saw her standing in my kitchen that morning, she was wearing my shirt, and nothing else. It wasn't a romantic moment. It wasn't something out of a movie. It was heartbreak wrapped in silence. She stood there, eyes red and swollen, clutching a mug she hadn't even filled. The light from the window painted her face in gold, but she looked like she hadn't slept in days. And in that instant, I knew, something inside her had broken long before this morning came. It had been 2 years since we met, and somehow our story had gone from laughter echoing through midnight drives to silence heavy enough to make the walls ache. Her name was Eliza. She was the kind of girl who'd make strangers smile just by saying hello, but that morning, even the sun seemed afraid to touch her. I remember walking toward her, my throat tight, words stuck somewhere between apology and confusion. "You okay?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. She nodded, barely. Her eyes darted to the floor, her fingers twisting the hem of my shirt like it was the only thing holding her together. "I didn't mean to wake you," she whispered. Her voice cracked on the last word, soft but sharp enough to slice through the air. It wasn't the first time she'd shown up after disappearing for weeks. Each time, she came back quieter. Each time, she left with a piece of me I never got back. But this time felt final. She looked at me like she wanted to say something, then didn't. So I did what I always did, made coffee, tried to fill the silence with small things. I wanted to ask where she'd been, why she looked like she'd been running from something that finally caught her. But I didn't. Because when someone's that close to breaking, even questions can feel like stones thrown at glass. She took a sip of coffee, hands trembling. "Do you ever feel like the world just stops caring?" she asked suddenly. Her voice was steady now, but her eyes begged for a reason to stay. I nodded. "Yeah. All the time." And for a moment, she smiled. Just a flicker. But it was enough to remind me of who she used to be, before the storms, before the bruises she tried to hide, before she started lying to herself just to survive. She stayed that day. We didn't talk much. We just existed in the same space, like two broken clocks trying to tick in rhythm again. When night fell, she curled up beside me, still wearing that same shirt, her fingers tracing the heartbeat on my chest. "Don't let me go," she murmured. "I promised I wouldn't." But promises don't always hold against the kind of pain she carried. The next morning, she was gone. The shirt, the mug, the faint smell of her hair, all that remained. On the table was a folded note, the ink smudged like she'd cried while writing it. "I can't keep running, but I can't stay either. You were the only place that ever felt safe. Don't think of me as gone, just free." I sat there for hours, staring at those words, trying to understand how love could feel so heavy and empty at the same time. I wanted to chase her, to pull her back from whatever edge she was standing on, but something in me knew, she needed to find her way without me this time. Days passed. Weeks. I started noticing little things she'd left behind, her favorite book with folded corners, her necklace tangled in the drawer, her laughter still echoing in the hall. And somehow, those memories hurt less and healed more. I began writing letters I'd never send. Letters that said the things I couldn't when she was here. I told her how much I missed her, how much she'd taught me, not about love, but about letting go with grace. Then one night, a knock came at the door. When I opened it, she stood there again, tired, thinner, but with a calm I hadn't seen before. She smiled, small and real. "You still make terrible coffee?" I laughed. "Worse than ever." She stepped inside, looked around, and whispered, "I'm not running anymore." This time, she wasn't wearing my shirt. She was wearing her own, and peace. We didn't rush back into what we were. We just sat together, learning to breathe in the same silence that once hurt so much. I realized then that love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes, it's about letting someone break and trusting they'll rebuild stronger. That night, when she reached for my hand, it wasn't desperation. It was choice, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like we both came home, because she was wearing my shirt once, but now, she was wearing her strength, and maybe that was always what I loved most.